Full Contact Podcast, buckle up, you heard, like, follow, and share. Lycoming, you heard, we dare. Pulses of the Portland, why do people leave? Crank up the truth with Beth and Steve.
Welcome back to Lycoming, ya heard. I'm Steve Marshall.
And I'm Beth Fulmer. So today we're doing a deep dive into that arson at the governor's residence recently, and the person charged, Cody Balmer.
Right. It's obviously caught a lot of attention statewide. We want to try and understand the layers, maybe exclude some of the factors involved, especially around mental health and, how communities grapple with this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've pulled together some notes taken around April 14th, 2025, and looked at reporting from PennLive.com, USA Today.
Mm-hmm. And the idea isn't just to read the news back to you. It's to dig in a bit, connect some dots using these sources, and maybe get a fuller picture.
A more complete understanding, yeah. But always, based on the info we actually have.
Right. Grounded in the sources.
Okay, so let's jump in. The main event, obviously the arson, happened at the governor's residence Sunday, April 14th.
And the person arrested, Cody Balmer, 38, from Harrisburg. He's facing, a whole slew of really serious charges.
Yeah, I saw that. Attempted murder, aggravated arson, burglary, even terrorism and related offenses. It's really shocking.
Definitely disturbing. And I think a lot of people are asking, how does something like this happen? What's the story behind it?
And pretty quickly, some information started coming out about Mr. Balmer's background, didn't it?
It did. One of the first and I think most significant things was an interview his mother, Cody Balmer, gave to PennLive.
Ah, right. That must have been incredibly difficult for her. What did she share?
Well, the main thing was her statement that Cody wasn't taking his medication. She said he has diagnoses of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
Wow, okay, so that's a huge factor, potentially, schizophrenia and bipolar.
And she also said she'd been actively trying to get him help.
Yeah.
That this wasn't completely out of the blue for her, it sounds like.
She'd been trying? How?
She mentioned calling crisis services. And significantly, she contacted the Pembroke police just a few days before the arson, on Thursday, April 10th.
Just 3 nights before, so she clearly saw something was wrong.
It certainly seems that way. A mother concerned, trying to get support.
So what happened when she called the police? Could they do anything?
Well, Pembroke police confirmed they got the call that Thursday afternoon. They went to the address.
Okay.
But when the officers got there, Cody wasn't there. He'd already left.
Ah.
And Lieutenant Jesse Foltz from Pembroke PD, he explained that based on what they knew then, the legal requirements for an involuntary mental health commitment in PA just weren't met.
Even though his mother called, worried about him being off his meds for schizophrenia and bipolar.
It's complicated. Lieutenant Foltz basically said there was no immediate danger they could point to, no specific reason they could articulate for commitment beyond, quote, a gut feeling.
A gut feeling isn't enough legally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania law, like in most places, has pretty strict criteria. You generally need clear evidence the person is an immediate danger to themselves or others because of their mental state right then.
Not just, I'm worried because he's off his meds.
Right. It highlights that really difficult gap, doesn't it? Where a family sees a crisis building, but the official system, legally, can't step in yet.
Yeah, that's a tough spot for everyone. So we have the mother's account of his mental health issues, the schizophrenia, the bipolar.
Correct. And that seems corroborated, at least in terms of public reporting. Plus, USA Today mentioned something from an ex-girlfriend.
Oh, what was that?
She apparently told state police that Balmer actually confessed to her about starting the fire.
He confessed.
And asked her to turn him in. That's according to her statement in the report. Adds another layer to what was happening right after the event.
Definitely paints a more complex picture, and it gets even more complex when you look at his prior history, right? This wasn't his first run-in with the law.
Not at all. If you go back to 2015, there were 2 forgery convictions.
Forgery? What was that about?
Altering checks from a place called U.S. Retail Flowers, which is Royer's Flowers, apparently, happened in February 2015.
2 checks?
Yeah, tried to cash one for just over $2,700 and another for over $3,500. Same day.
And he was convicted.
Found guilty on both counts. Got 18 months probation for each. So, yeah, legal issues going back about a decade.
Okay. And then more recently, I think I saw something about domestic violence.
Yes, that's much more recent and still pending, actually.
Yeah.
From January 2023. He's facing 3 counts of simple assault in Harrisburg.
3 counts. What are the details there? The court records must say something.
They do, and they're quite disturbing. The records indicate it started when he apparently took a bottle of pills intending self-harm.
Oh, wow.
That led to an argument with his wife, and then allegedly it escalated. He's accused of hitting his wife in the face, hitting his 13-year-old son who tried to step in.
He hit his son.
With a closed fist, according to the record,
Right.
and also elbowed his 10-year-old son, who also intervened.
Good grief. 2 kids involved.
Yes. And the record says he later punched his wife again and bit her hand. Just awful details. And 2 children witnessed this.
And that case is still pending?
Yeah, a plea hearing was set for February this year, 2025, but it got continued. The note says that the defendant was not ready.
So, unresolved legal trouble, serious allegations, likely adding a lot of stress.
You'd have to imagine so. It points to instability. And on top of that, other things too. He pleaded guilty twice since last year for driving with a suspended license.
Driving while suspended, okay.
Most recently in Lancaster County, back in February. And there's mention of various other traffic violations in PA too.
So, sort of a pattern of smaller legal issues alongside these much more serious ones.
Seems like it. Just adds to the overall picture of someone facing multiple challenges.
And his personal life sounds like there was upheaval there too. The divorce that was finalized here in Lycoming County, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Divorce finalized in Lycoming County on February 28th, 2025. So very recently before the arson.
And there was also a PFA, a protection from abuse order, also Lycoming County.
Correct. Subject to a PFA in Lycoming County, which, often points to serious conflict or safety concerns in a relationship.
So, recent divorce, PFA, both connected to Lycoming County, plus losing his home.
Yeah, his house on Canby Street went into foreclosure last year. It was sold in September for $60,000.
Man, that's a lot hitting someone at once. Mental health struggles, legal problems, domestic violence charges, divorce, PFA, losing your home.
It's an immense amount of pressure, objectively speaking. We also know a bit about his work situation.
What was that?
He used to be a mechanic, worked at Kinderman's Auto Repair for about 8 years.
8 years is a pretty long time.
It is. But they had a mutual separation, as it was described about 2 years ago.
Okay. And what was he doing after that?
He was reportedly planning to start his own business, a mobile mechanic service. So trying to get something going.
Right. So he had a skill trying to move forward in some way. It's not. It adds some dimension, I guess.
It does. And then there's the custody situation, too.
Custody.
He filed a suit back in June 2023 and apparently took primary custody of 2 young children, ages 5 and 2 at the time, according to the reports.
Wow. Primary custody of 2 very young kids while dealing with, well, everything else we've just talked about.
Yeah. I mean, managing that responsibility while reportedly dealing with significant mental health issues, legal troubles, financial stress, that would be incredibly demanding for anyone.
No kidding. What about social media? Did anything stand out there? Sometimes that gives a little insight, maybe.
There were a few things noted. Some older posts back in 2021 seemed to mock Joe Biden.
Okay. Political angle.
Well, maybe not straightforwardly. Because in that same year, 2021, there was apparently also a comment where he said he didn't favor Trump either.
Huh. Okay, so maybe not a clear partisan thing driving this, based on that snapshot anyway?
Perhaps not. What's maybe more, I don't know, unsettling, given what happened, is a post from 2022.
What was it?
It was a meme, showed a Molotov cocktail, and the caption was, "Be the light you want to see in the world."
Oof. Yeah, in hindsight, knowing about the arson, that's chilling.
It really is. Of course, social media is just bits and pieces. Context is everything, but it's there in the reports.
Important context, though, also is that he was registered to vote, right?
Right.
But no party declared.
Correct. Active voter, no declared party. Last time he voted was the 2022 general election.
Okay, so bringing this back home for our listeners here in Lycoming County, obviously this terrible event happened in Harrisburg, not here.
Right.
But the themes, mental health challenges, families struggling to get help, the legal system's role, personal struggles kind of spiraling. These aren't just Harrisburg issues, are they?
Not at all. These are things that touch every community, including Lycoming County. The specifics are unique to this case, of course, but the underlying challenges are universal.
It makes you think about, what resources are available here. How do families navigate this kind of thing in our own backyard?
Yeah. Exactly. This situation, tragic as it is, kind of puts a spotlight on those questions for all of us, doesn't it? How do we support people in crisis? How do our systems, mental health, legal, social support respond when someone is clearly struggling? like his mother seemed to indicate he was.
Yeah. Are the resources adequate? Are they accessible? Especially when someone might not be willing or, able to seek help themselves.
It really forces us to look at our own community infrastructure and ask, are we doing enough? Are the safety nets strong enough? Particularly when we see aspects like the divorce and the PFA having roots right here in Lycoming County.
It feels close to home in that sense, yeah. So just to kind of pull it together, we have the arson itself, Cody Balmer, charged with extremely serious crimes.
We have his mother's account of his mental health struggles, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, him being off medication, her desperate calls for help just days before.
The police response, which was limited by legal standards, even with those warnings.
His prior history, the forgery, the really concerning domestic violence case still pending, the driving offenses.
And the personal turmoil, the divorce and PFA right here in Lycoming County, losing his home, the custody situation.
And then those unsettling social media posts adding another, albeit complex, layer.
So when you lay it all out, it's a deeply troubling picture.
It really is. And connecting it back for everyone listening in Lycoming County, it really does underscore how crucial things like mental health support, crisis intervention, and accessible resources are. His mother's experience trying to get help, it raises big questions about preventing tragedies, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Are we equipped here and across PA to catch people before they fall this far?
It's a stark reminder of why strong, responsive mental health services are just vital for community safety and well-being.
So here's something maybe for you, our listeners in Lycoming County, to think about. Considering everything we've discussed, the mental health aspects, the attempts to get help, the legal history, the personal pressures, what does this whole situation make you think about regarding the challenges people face right here in our own communities when dealing with mental health crises?
Yeah, and what questions does it bring up for you about the support systems we actually have in place? Are they working? Are they enough?
It's definitely not simple. There are no easy answers here. But maybe looking beyond the headlines, at the human elements and the system factors, that's important.
Absolutely. It's multifaceted, and avoiding simple conclusions is key. Hopefully this deep dive gave some useful context.
We hope so, too. Thanks, as always, for tuning in and digging into this with us, Lycoming County. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Until the next deep dive.
The shore has no snooky, that's the word. And Missy Lane's sugar cookies slap, you heard. Like, follow, and share. Lycoming, you heard, we dare. Pulses up the port, and why do people leave? Crank up the truth with Beth and Steve.